Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to Better Self Books, the channel that shares knowledge for comprehensive self-development through great books. If you still find yourself dominated by emotions of sadness, envy, fear, and anger, causing your mood to plummet without knowing how to cope. If you still make many mistakes and feel regretful, having said hurtful words after fits of anger, then today's book will be an excellent choice for you. This is a book I've temporarily translated as The Power of Emotions, Love, Anger, Joy. The philosopher and thinker Wang Yangming once said, "It is easy to defeat the thieves on the mountain, but it is difficult to defeat the thieves in the heart. The thieves in our hearts are, ultimately, the 7 passions and 6 desires according to Buddhist teachings. The 7 passions are the 7 different shades of human emotion, while the 6 desires refer to the 6 worldly wants. This book delves into the 7 passions of mankind, analyzing the 7 types of emotions that have been with us from birth until now. Emotions are a flow of energy within us. If you can coexist peacefully with them, you can easily master your own life. Understanding emotions allows you to interpret them better, comprehend the feelings of others while still protecting your own, and thereby transform emotions into a strength to face life positively. The author of this book is Dr. François Lellard, a renowned psychiatrist in France and the United States. He also wrote the global bestseller on self-healing psychology, Hector and the Search for Happiness, which is another of his incredibly famous works. The book I'm introducing today is co-authored with the French psychologist and psychiatrist Christophe Ander. Now, let's explore what these 7 emotions are. Is being calm in the face of all turmoil a wonderful thing? The author poses a question. If there were a drug called summer, a medicine that helps you remain composed in any situation, no matter what trouble you encounter, your outward appearance would remain unchanged, and you could respond calmly, with a heart as still as a flat water surface. You would not be easily swayed by worldly emotions. Isn't this the kind of medicine that helps us achieve the goal of cultivating a peaceful mind and calm spirit? So, would you want to buy this pill? But the author adds that before you decide, you need to understand its side effects. Without the influence of emotions, you will become indifferent to life. Because you are not stirred by emotions, you will no longer feel hurt, which could lead to dangerous behavior towards yourself and others. Your memory will decline, and your judgment will weaken. You will face difficulties and obstacles in connecting with others. At this point, would you still want to take this pill? You'll see that while emotions cause us much suffering, they also add flavor to our lives and help us establish deep connections with others. In reality, emotion is a driving force for us to express ourselves to the world and is the most primal energy within us. You need to understand and manage your own emotions to harness their power. First, we need a basic overview of emotions. Emotions consist of 3 main parts: physiological, cognitive, and behavioral. It is a flowing energy that moves from a state of calm to agitation, causing the body to have physiological reactions such as increased blood pressure and heart rate, and rapid breathing. After that, emotions will affect the way you think. When you are angry, your vision may narrow, and you focus only on the point that angers you. When you are sad, you may be unable to escape what makes you sad and begin to think negatively. Finally, it causes you to react and act. Now, let's delve into the details of each of the most basic emotions. 1. Anger first. The emotion that perhaps troubles many people daily. You'll notice that quite a few people, when angry, tend to fly into a rage and exhibit behaviors like breaking things, slamming doors, or even becoming aggressive towards others. Conversely, some people, when angry, choose to suppress it, swallowing their anger without showing it. However, when facing anger, both exploding and suppressing are mistakes. The right thing to do is to face it directly, understand the anger, and then resolve it. But to understand it, we need to know, why am I angry? The causes of anger seem complex, but can be summarized as follows. First cause. You are angry because you don't want something to happen. Second cause. You might have been intentionally provoked by someone else. Third cause. The thing that angers you contradicts your values. And finally, the most important factor, you are angry because you know you can control the situation and allow yourself to be angry. For example, if you were walking in a forest and suddenly encountered a tiger, would you be angry? Of course not. Most people would be terrified because they know they cannot control the situation. But Vietiang is different. He could control this matter with his own anger. Think about it. Often, when you get angry and shout at someone, The primary reason is that you know you can control that person. No matter what harsh words you say, you believe they won't leave you or be able to do anything to you. But remember, no one is impossible to lose, not even those closest to you or your loyal employees. Remember that the people who allow you to be angry are those who truly love you or are afraid of you. As long as there is fear, the other person will never be genuinely open and dedicated to you. Do you want such a relationship for your entire life? The solution here is to look at yourself. The author provides a method to help you resolve anger. Learn to dialogue with yourself. Question your inherent beliefs. What belief makes you think others must do as you wish? Is this belief entirely reasonable? After understanding why you're angry, try to reduce the factors causing the indignation. For example, if someone at work always makes things difficult for you and makes you feel annoyed, instead of just grumbling and seeing flaws in their perspective, it's better to find a way to improve the situation and change yourself to eliminate the factors that annoy you. To do this well, you need to learn to think from others' perspectives. According to Buddhism, all anger stems from a higher level of ego, meaning, I feel I am very important. My attitude, my values, my self-esteem are the most important. When you feel you are especially important, many things will immediately anger you. But when you can learn to put yourself in others' shoes, feel why they think that way, and question whether you really need to be so angry, you will find a way to control your temper. Do not make personal attacks. When the flames of anger begin to flicker, focus only on the other person's behavior. Don't try to label them as a person. For example, instead of saying, "Why can't you do anything right?" a non-attacking way to express anger is, "You didn't do this correctly." You need to think carefully before expressing yourself. When angry, don't immediately speak, send a text, or post your mood on social media. Let yourself cool down. Conversely, don't hastily agree to everything with someone when you are particularly happy. Give the other person some time to express themselves. It's possible they didn't mean it, and their action might not have violated the principle that angered you. Leave if you cannot control your rage. The best way is to turn and walk away. For example, when you are furious with your child, you can say, "Mommy needs to calm down right now. Let me rest for a bit," then go outside or to another room for a while. This is also a very good way to control your anger. The final way to control anger is to learn to let go. Don't cling too tightly to every trivial matter. When you look back, you'll see that nothing is insurmountable and nothing is so catastrophic. When you can accept everything that happens, your anger will naturally subside. Conversely, an equally important issue is that many people lack anger, meaning they excessively suppress it. I must always control my emotions, or others will see me as immature. I must never hurt others, or I will feel guilty. These are actually beliefs that others have instilled in your mind since childhood. They prevent you from getting angry, but will lead to depression. As the book Truth Work I once shared also says, if you don't have a way to express your anger, it can lead to serious psychological illnesses and even physical ailments. The best way, instead of saying, "I must always control my emotions," or "I can only get angry when I know I'm 100% right," is to think, "It's right to be angry when I have a reason, but I have the right to make mistakes." Please don't be too hard on yourself. Or, instead of saying, "I need to be friendly," or "People won't accept me," affirm to yourself, "I hope people accept me, but I don't need everyone to like me." The above are shares on the first emotion, anger. 2. Envy. Next emotion is envy. In reality, there is no standard expression for envy, as it's rare to identify that someone is envious just by looking at their face. Envy is an internal drama with a tormenting feeling inside. For example, when visiting the home of a friend of the same age, you notice that you both graduated at the same time, and maybe they even studied less than you. But now their house is wealthy and their family is prosperous. Outwardly, you are as calm as a river, but inside, your heart is turbulent, and you start to feel sad. Some might think they are feeling jealousy, but this is actually envy. Jealousy is different. According to psychology, envy is directed at the happiness and material wealth of others, while jealousy is when you discover that things you want to possess forever are at risk of being taken by someone else. I will talk more about jealousy later. This book tells us that people typically have 3 types of envy. Depressive envy. People with this type of envy, upon seeing others' progress, often think, "Good things like this will never happen to me," or "I'm so unlucky." These feelings will make you want to withdraw. Hostile envy. A typical expression of this type is, someone like them managed to do this. A person with this feeling will think that no one can be better than them. So they will find ways to find fault, badmouth, or tarnish the other person's image in the eyes of others, admiring envy. He is really good, so it's normal for him to get a promotion. I will work harder myself. This third type is a relatively healthy form of envy. Therefore, there is good envy and bad envy. If your feeling of envy is good, you will be motivated to improve. But if that feeling is bad, you might do things that harm others. Envy can be a motivator for progress, but it needs to be managed, especially depressive and hostile envy. If envy makes you feel miserable and lose your spirit, you need to reflect and manage it. So, how do we manage it? Step 1. Frankly admit your envy. For example, the house you bought is exactly the house I've dreamed of. Living in a home like this must be so happy. I'm so envious of you. As soon as you say this, you will feel much more relieved, and so will the other person. Step 2. Express envy positively. Feeling happy for them from the bottom of your heart is a way to express emotion with very high energy. For example, I know buying a house is not easy. This is the result of your hard work over the past few years. I'm truly happy for you. Step 3. Check if you have thoughts of inferiority, such as, my friend is so good, but what about me? Am I improving or regressing? People who think this way always want to show their best side to others, but you need to know that this is a factor causing unnecessary envy in you. Or conversely, check if you have thoughts of superiority. If your ego is too high, you will feel you must be better than others. But in reality, when you don't achieve that, you will naturally bring suffering upon yourself due to this envy. Step 4. If you still have such thoughts, you need to move to the 4th step. Weaken the other person's superiority in your eyes. The other person's superiority is actually imagined by your envious ego. The author argues that in this world, there is really nothing worth being envious of. If there is indeed something to be envious of, there is only one virtue we should envy: those who can create their own happiness. For example, a car mechanic on the side of the road who is very happy because he is doing what he loves. He feels happy. A person who can focus on their work and help others is someone worth our envy. I hope that we can turn the feeling of envy into a motivation to strive for ourselves, not against anyone else. Joy and happiness. Next is the emotion of joy and happiness. There is a smile called the Duchenne smile, discovered by a French doctor named Duchenne. Did you know? Only people with this smile are truly happy and radiant. It's a smile where the muscles around the eyes contract naturally. Take a look back and see how many times a day you smile so naturally. Joy and happiness are the feelings with the greatest impact on our lives among all types of emotions. Why can we say that? First, joy makes people generous. This has been proven by experiments, not just empty talk. A psychologist asked a group of people to participate in a psychological experiment. After the experiment was over, they went outside and saw a beggar at the door. He then found that as long as these people felt pleased and happy in the lab, they were more likely to give money to the beggar. So, are we generous because we are happy? Or do we become happy because we are generous? Here, both support each other. Therefore, be generous and give more, and feelings of complete joy will surely come to you. Second, joy also makes people more creative and able to make better decisions. Not a quick decision, but a quality one. Joy also helps you be brave, yet cautious. We often think that too much joy leads to recklessness, meaning when people are too happy, they will engage in crazy, risky behaviors. That is not joy. It's more like pleasure. Conversely, truly joyful people always dare to act, but can act more cautiously. Joyful people will not like boring jobs but will choose interesting and challenging tasks. Therefore, be ready to proactively take on more difficult tasks than others at work. This is also a way to make yourself happy at work and give yourself more opportunities to grow. One thing to note here is that the author divides human happiness into 4 states from 2 dimensions. Let's find out which type of happiness you are pursuing. Excited joy from the outside. You can understand this as exhilaration. For example, in elementary or middle school, when we received the title of an excellent student or won a competition, this feeling is common among teenagers, excited joy from within. This is an Aristotelian type of happiness. It is the feeling of achievement when your life goals are realized. When you devote yourself to a career with purpose and meaning and finally achieve it, and then can improve yourself. tranquil happiness from the outside. This is a feeling of contentment. For example, you and your partner sit in the garden, sipping tea and watching your children play. This feeling of happiness will make you smile quietly with satisfaction, tranquil happiness from within. This is called serenity. When we understand the meaning of our life and know that life is as it is, that life is impermanent, we will live calmly and enjoy the process of experience. These are 4 different feelings of happiness. Importantly, they are not ranked high or low. Every type of happiness brings high energy. So, to improve happiness, what do we need to do? First, you need to ask your current self, which type of happiness is my ideal happiness close to? What would make me happier now? What was my happiest moment? What happy moments have I missed? Does what makes me happier depend on me? Always ask yourself questions like these to help you stay on the right path, but you also need to pay special attention to what happiness needs and doesn't need. Happiness does not depend on money and age. We always fear old age and feel that getting older is a terrible thing. But in reality, people feel happier as they get older. No research has proven that young people are happier than the elderly. The elderly can calmly tell the young, everything will pass. You should be happy because you are young and have many opportunities, but young people won't think so. The troubles in life will cause young people pain, and any blow will be infinitely amplified. So, what does happiness depend on? To be happy, you need health. As soon as even a minor illness arrives, your happiness will immediately decrease. Happiness also depends on your personality. See if you can easily spot joy and create happiness. Happiness also depends on the quality of your marriage and relationships. Be careful and choose very carefully before deciding to marry someone, and happiness also depends on your beliefs. What kind of beliefs do you have? If you only believe in money, you will be more miserable. Finally, happiness also depends on your career and the influence of relatives and friends. These are the factors a person needs to be happy. But you must remember that to feel happy is not about trying to pursue many things that satisfy you. As the author says, happy people are happy because they find happiness in every situation, not because the events or circumstances they encounter make them more satisfied than others. Happiness is knowing how to be content with desires and being soberly able to learn to be indifferent to success or failure. Pursuing the hope of both perfection and imperfection. 4. Sadness. Next, we will talk about sadness. In life, everyone has to go through sad days. Someone gets criticized by their boss, someone loses a pet, someone gets sick, and so on. All of these things break people's hearts. But in the end, all sorrows have a common feature: loss. Loss of the trust your boss had in you, loss of your canine companion, loss of the ability to function normally, loss of wealth, loss of your own meaning. All are losses. They will make you feel sad. We always prefer joy and are very afraid of encountering sadness. But sadness is born to teach us to avoid similar situations from happening again. It makes you reflect on your actions, mistakes, and ignorance, and it also arouses compassion from others. Conversely, it also allows you to empathize with someone when they are in pain. The emotion of sadness is not as scary as we believe, so don't let yourself become imbalanced. If you remain immersed in pain, it will consume your entire being. So, when we feel too sad, what should we do? The first thing is to accept it. People with deep spiritual beliefs and spiritual lives are very good at accepting and overcoming sorrows. They believe that sadness is cause and effect, karma, a lesson for themselves, a path they chose and must walk. With such a belief, people will easily change their perspective on pain, accepting pain simply as an experience to realize the value, the lessons behind it. From there, you will feel better. In addition, you can also express your sadness carefully to a trusted person. Expressing it carefully means not turning it into a repetitive complaint. After that, try to get out of it by redirecting your focus. Look back at what activities you used to love in the past or things you wish to experience. Proactively shift your focus to those things. They will help you escape the pain, and if the above methods do not help you, then seek help from professionals like psychologists. 5. Shame. Next is an emotion that I believe many people have and are hiding: shame. Shame is the painful feeling of thinking that you are inferior, incompetent, or looked down upon by others. From an adult's perspective, some of the shame children feel is unnecessary. Many young people think that if their parents are unattractive, dress shabbily, work in manual labor, or drive a clunky vehicle, they often tell their parents things like, "Don't come to the school gate to pick me up," or park the car and wait for me over there, and surely, many will regret this when they grow up. So why do we feel shame? It is when a person fails to achieve consistency in 4 principles of fitting in with those around them. The first principle is consistency. For example, all your classmates ride scooters, but you don't. A cheap, unattractive motorcycle will create a difference, and this will make some young people feel ashamed. The second principle is a lack of mutually supportive behavior. That is, your selfish actions are exposed in front of others, and you will feel ashamed. The book gives an example. On the first day, some students move into the dormitory. Everyone shares the food they brought from home, but one girl stays in the dorm when everyone else has gone out to eat a cake her family had prepared for her. Unfortunately, everyone comes back right as she is eating. This makes her feel extremely ashamed. Next, the third principle is about physiological issues. Every adult has had this feeling during puberty. Some are ashamed of going through puberty too early. Some are ashamed of going through it too late. And some are ashamed of being different. And the final thing that makes people ashamed is pressure from competition. For example, the whole team has very good monthly performance results, but you do not. This will make you feel ashamed. Shame has a typical expression common to everyone: blushing, bowing your head, and drooping eyelids. Of course, shame has its own role, and all emotions that can stay with us for many years have their reasons. The function of shame is to make others more tolerant of us. For example, when you are standing in line to pay, but unfortunately, your bag of groceries falls and everything spills out. If you didn't feel ashamed at this moment, you would clean up leisurely and make the people behind you wait. In that case, you would surely be scolded and blamed. But if you show that you are ashamed, constantly apologize, and quickly clean up, others will sympathize with you. You see, shame has helped us immensely to behave properly. But conversely, shame also has its limitations. For example, if you are overly ashamed, you may not be popular or may even be ostracized. A person, especially an adolescent, who always hunches over and bows their head, being extremely shy when meeting people, will gradually be excluded by their peer group. What's worse is that some people who are not inherently insecure become victims, living in shame. A typical example is victims of sexual assault. This has always caused great pressure for many people because our inner dignity sets certain standards. Although society dictates that you did not make a mistake and you are a victim, in your heart, you still cannot accept it. So, how should we manage shame so that it doesn't turn into negative energy for us? First, express it. Whenever the feeling of shame is spoken out, it will no longer weigh heavily on you. The French writer Annie Ernaux, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2022, has a famous saying: with shame, the worst thing is thinking we are the only ones who feel it, but in reality, when you are ashamed, others can all sense it. So, gently turn shame into embarrassment. Embarrassment is less severe than shame. Shame can penetrate deep inside you, but embarrassment can disappear with a smile. In addition, for those who have a habit of intentionally shaming you, the best way is to reduce interaction with these types of people. Some people with immature personalities will project their inner fear and anger onto others. So they have a habit of humiliating someone, making inappropriate jokes, or exposing the shortcomings of those around them. When this happens, we should see through their emotions, sympathize with people like this, and give ourselves our own space, not becoming a victim of shame. And the final thing is to introspect your inner beliefs. See if you are setting excessively high standards for yourself. To turn inferiority into superiority, you can refer to the famous psychology book What Life Should Mean to You by Alfred Adler. Through the video that Better Version has shared and analyzed in great detail. To understand more about feelings of inferiority and shame and how to turn it into a remarkable strength within you. 6. Next is the sixth emotion, jealousy. This book analyzes the feeling of jealousy primarily as it appears in relationships between the two genders, in love and marriage, which we often call romantic jealousy. Romantic jealousy appears when people feel their relationship is threatened to some extent. It can also be a sign of a lack of self-confidence. When the emotion of jealousy flashes within you, it will be accompanied by anger, fear, sadness, and sometimes mixed with shame. This is a complex and relatively negative emotion, but it also has its own role. In primitive society, when food was limited, jealousy helped people survive. If a husband did not feel jealous and allowed his wife to freely interact with others, it was very likely the child they were raising was not his. Or if a wife allowed her husband to have relationships with many others, she might not have enough to eat because the man would have to support other children, even in modern society. With an abundance of food, we still easily retain the gene for jealousy. It makes us maintain our uniqueness to each other. Jealousy can also cause us pain. The three main characteristics of excessive jealousy are close monitoring, restricting the partner's contact with others, and having a demeaning attitude toward you. People with this type of jealousy often have very low emotional energy. So, how can we manage jealousy? Like all other emotions, the first thing we must do is admit our jealousy and confront it to find a solution. Then ask yourself a few questions. Have you ever been hurt by a cheating partner? Were you hurt by your parents' infidelity? Do you feel you are not important enough or attractive enough to hold someone's heart for a long time? Where does this bias come from? Questions like these will make you think a lot. If the feeling of jealousy still causes trouble for you and your partner, then seek advice from experts. Finally, you need to give your partner some personal space. When you take away someone's private space, the risks you initially thought of will not decrease but may actually increase. Jealousy is a normal and natural emotion. Although it often makes one lose self-worth, it is still a part of a healthy psychology if we know how to manage and face it correctly. It will add a little spice to your life. 7. Fear. Finally, let's come to the emotion that people always try to avoid: fear. For adults, the objects that cause fear often fall into the following categories: animals like insects, rats, snakes. Some people are afraid of heights. Many people faint at the sight of blood. Some are afraid of public speaking, afraid of confined spaces like elevators. Some are also afraid of thunder, afraid of water. They will panic when water reaches their chest and touches their nose, and so on. Why are we afraid of the things above? Because all of these are related to sources of danger from primitive society. They brought a lot of harm to humans, so humans would be afraid. But human fear is not just an innate fear from primitive society. Many fears are gradually formed later in you. For example, fears originating from culture, like the fear of ghosts. Fears originating from society, like children fearing parents, students fearing teachers, subordinates fearing superiors, etc. The appearance of these types of fears often stems from the need to avoid being isolated in our society. Finally, people also have fears that originate from false beliefs in their minds. For example, fear because you don't feel safe, fear of your partner's betrayal, fear of lack, and so on. Therefore, many people have tried every way to control the situation or fill the void with their material world. Ultimately, fear is an emotion that makes you uncomfortable and unhappy. You certainly do not want to live in fear every day. There are even many people who, just because of fear, have overreactions. When fear turns into negative energy in you, making you anxious and doubtful of yourself, you will need to find a way to manage it. So, how can we manage our feelings of fear? The first thing, which this book has mentioned many times before, is to admit and express your fear. Don't try to cover up fear when you are clearly afraid. Sincerely tell others that you need help. The second thing is to learn to grasp your fear. That is, find ways to prepare and get as much information as possible. For example, if you are afraid of traveling to a strange place alone, prepare all possible information about the trip. When you know how you will go, where you will stay, what you will do, etc., you will feel more at ease. Fear will no longer be able to block the strong energy within you. Next, let's learn to relax. When afraid, your heart rate will increase. At this time, you can close your eyes, focus on your breath, on each inhale and exhale, to reduce the anxiety it brings. Finally, confront it. Here are some important principles to confront fear that I have summarized. Bravely and proactively expose yourself to the fear gradually and within a controlled level. For example, if you are afraid of crowds, proactively try participating in competitions that require contact with many people, starting with small competitions. If you are afraid of a certain animal, for example, I have seen many people who are afraid of cats. Then, at this time, approach cats slowly and within your control. Conclusion: above are the 7 emotions that accompany us throughout our journey of growth. I believe you will recognize the appearance of these 7 emotions. Behind them, there are always reasons. Perhaps you are disappointed with life. You are not satisfied with the present. You are worried about the future. You feel you cannot integrate with those around you. And there are many other worries. Once you are aware of these deep-rooted causes, you can easily tell your emotions, "I have seen you," just by expressing it. You will be able to face emotions most calmly instead of being controlled by them. Therefore, don't be too concerned with time, circumstances, or other people that you try to suppress your emotions. You can completely release your negative energy in a timely and reasonable manner so that every present moment can be in harmony with your emotions. Living in harmony with yourself and with others. Understand emotions, express emotions, resolve emotions. This is the best way to help you calmly accept an imperfect self. Imperfection is a true form of perfection. I hope that both you and I can cherish and embrace all emotions, love ourselves completely, and bravely step forward. Thank you for listening. If you find this video useful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to watch the latest videos every week. Once again, thank you, and see you in the next videos.